Hello, welcome back to the Caring Conversation studio, live from the Care Show at the NEC in Birmingham. So we have another guest in our studio, Cheryl.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us who you are and what you do, Cheryl?
Yes, so my name's Cheryl White and I'm the CEO of Apollo Care Franchising Limited. So we award home care franchises to people who want to start their own business within the home care sector.
Perfect. So we're going to talk a bit about CQC today. Our last guest in the studio was from a funding organisation, Virgin Money, who basically said they can't take the CQC inspections as part of their process anymore because of what the government have said recently. You've been having some problems, so you want to talk about those?
Yes, so all of our franchisees within Apollo Care have to be regulated obviously by the CQC. And what we're finding at the moment is getting that initial registration. Used to take 3 months. Now it's taken anywhere up to 12 months, which again is holding the new business owner back from being able to earn any money from their franchise. This is then affecting the care standards within that area because I'm sure there's lots of different home care companies waiting to become registered by the CQC, told they can't trade until they've got it, waiting lists of clients who want to come on board and their hands are tied because there's nothing they can do about it.
And ultimately, there's a huge demand in the market. People need the care, right? It's not like, oh yeah, we can start next week. It's like, I really need.
Yeah.
Normally, when you're ringing up a home care company, you're probably at the point already where you've tried pretty much everything to make it work with your family member, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And people do come to us when they're in that crisis, and when we're having to turn people away because we're still waiting for CQC registration. It's embarrassing for us, but also for the care regulators as well. I do believe CQC are good at what they do. I think we do need the standards of care. I think people underestimate the standards and what is expected of them to open a home care company. Many years ago when I first started Apollo, somebody said to me, well, surely all you need is a box of gloves and a few aprons to start a home care company. I was like, if only it was that easy.
Yeah.
So I think what CQC stand for, and I think the standards that they set are excellent, and I think every home or health or home care provider should be aiming towards that outstanding rating, but they're letting themselves down by the organisation of the business and bringing in new teams and new providers. Yeah,
because ultimately, like you said, good regulation is important for this sector because it's easy to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So with the new framework, how do you feel about the new framework in general? Obviously, it's a big change. People don't like change. I've heard a mixed bag. Lots of people have said, actually, you know what? It is better. It makes more sense. It's more cohesive. There's actually less pressure because you're not trying to deliver everything. You can deliver for 5 questions or 6 questions or 2 or so apparently the average is about 10 that they ask. How do you find the new?
I like the new framework. I think what I like about it is it's very inclusive of the service users. I really like the new framework around that. I like that they're looking for involvement from the service users as well, whereas historically it was all about tick boxes and how many charts you've got signatures on. Although that is important, at the end of the day, they should be looking at the service user and their experience of using the service, because things do go wrong. We're all human. Working with people is just probably one of the hardest things that anybody will ever do. So I do feel like the new framework does support that.
It strikes me that with the new framework, it's much more about holistically making you a really good business.
Yes.
I.e. making sure your teams are really good, making sure your customers are really happy.
Yeah.
And the framework gives you the opportunity to find out those answers before.
I like that, and I think what you've just mentioned there about your team as well. We've got teams of Apollo now right across the UK. And what I always say to our franchise partners is that we wouldn't have a business without our teams, without our care staff, without our registered managers. So it's making sure that they're looked after, they feel supported. But in turn, the business owners need to feel supported by us and CQC, and I just feel that that's the point where CQC are letting people down.
Have you had any sites inspected under the new framework?
No, we've had none at the moment.
Wow,
no,
okay.
no.
It's only been 18 months.
I know, but this is they've had remote inspections where they'll phone them up and ask them questions. For me, that's not an inspection at all. And some people like the remote inspections. I feel if you've got a really good team and you've worked hard over the last 12 to 18 months, you actually want somebody to come in and take notice of what you're doing and highlight what you're doing well. I think it's really sad that CQC are now saying that they'll only do face-to-face visits if the business is failing. So what happens to the people who are doing well? There doesn't seem to be any incentive there at all.
I mean, they were saying that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I went to a sort of Essex Care Association event, and the CQC inspector came and said, "Look, if you're a good, unless someone dobs you in for something, we're not coming."
Yeah.
So you can be happy with your good, which I guess just, like I said, with the man with the funding, it just invalidates that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, for me, it's an analogy of having two children. If one's really good, we leave them alone and we don't say anything.
Yeah.
The one that's naughty, we go in and give them all the attention and the support and the help.
I've got those, yeah.
I've got two of them,
I've got one naughty one good one.
Yeah, so have I. But it is, for me.
They might be watching, so I wonder if they know which one that is.
Oh, I'm sure they will, but my two will know. But for me, it's exactly the same analogy, So the ones who aren't doing what they should be are given the support and the guidance and the feedback. The ones who are trying they're trying to get that outstanding rating and doing everything as they should, well, they get kind of ignored, and I just don't think that that's the right approach to take.
Yeah, and I guess as well the problem is that the market, i.e. your customers, haven't caught up with the fact that it's not. And I guess the government coming out and saying, this is not great. How else do you prove to your potential customers that you're a good company to work with?
I think so. We do a lot of internal audits for ours as well. So our clients can look at the internal audits if that's what they want to look at. I think as well it's going out and introducing the package to someone. We're very much, if somebody calls to inquire about care, we don't discuss pricing over the phone, we don't discuss care packages, we go out and we meet the person. We want to be face to face with somebody to be able to talk to them about the values of the company and what we do. Apollo is a very value-based company, and that comes across in everything that we stand for. So it's getting in front of those people and in front of those service users and making them feel like a person from day one rather than just a number.
Yeah, I think having an empathetic sales process, ideally from someone who has been through it, I think is really important.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily it has to be, because that can be hard to find that person. But if you can find someone that's had experience with a loved one going through the care sector, I think that's really helpful.
It's interesting because we've got a few franchisees who have now taken on business development managers, and two of them have been service users before, so their family members have been with Apollo, passed away, and they now go out and promote the service to other people, which is just, I love that. It's really, it's such a good.
Ultimately, with care, it's a very complicated thing for people to purchase.
Yeah.
And so we work in marketing and sales for care.
Yeah.
And the process of kind of helping people understand that you're the right company for them.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be the right company for everybody.
No, absolutely not. No. I think it's for me, care, when you're selling care or you're talking about care, it's a feeling, isn't it? It's not. It is a sales process, but it's a sales feeling. It's how you feel when you sat in front of that person, and how did they make you feel supported? Did they make you feel safe? And it's all of those things that should start from the minute that somebody inquires.
Is there kind of something from a sort of tip you can give? Is there something your customers really love about your service, or is about something you do that's a bit unusual in the market?
I think it's the feedback that we get from our clients and our customers and our staff as well, because we see staff as customers because they are. Obviously there's that transaction of employee and employer, but they're very much there to support the business as well. So we do get a lot of feedback from clients and staff. Head office or my national office will often phone clients as well, just out of the blue, to ask, very confidentially, how are you finding your care, what's your care package like. They always phone the registered manager though then of that company and say, oh, I hope I haven't got you in trouble, but national office phones. We try to keep it a secret. Yeah.
And it can be a difficult thing to do for businesses, I think, is to actually genuinely go and ask your customer, look them in the eye or speak to them and say, are we doing a good job? Because care is super complicated, right? And I think to deliver perfect care is it's not possible really, because it's just too complicated to do that. So I think you're brave to actually have a process where you do that. You've got
to take that feedback on board as well. You know, if somebody comes back and says, well, no, this and this has happened, we've got to look at that and say, well, why has that happened? And it's a culture that we have right throughout the business to do that.
How do you promote that sort of culture of just accepting and actioning the feedback?
We just instill it through the franchise agreement. So there's lots of regulations that we have in there. We do give our franchisees the freedom to run the businesses, you know, as individual people. But then we do have regulations in there that say, well, this is how many times you need to get your feedback. We see that feedback as well. And we do our own 360 feedbacks on the national office team as well, so they see us doing exactly the same thing.
Perfect. So have you got any other sort of hints and tips, anything else you want to share with the audience today?
I think, you know, if you are looking to start a home care company, it's finding the right fit for you as how you want to run your business. So it's doing your due diligence, looking at your franchise agreements, looking at what the contracts are, but also looking at the people behind the care logo as well. So it's sort of, you know, scraping through the gloss and the glamour and everything else and saying, okay, who are the people that I'm going to be working with and taking business advice from.
Perfect. Right. Well, thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
We will be back shortly with another person in our studio being interviewed by me. See you in a minute.